everyone, and welcome to the 2023 Marie Claire Hair Awards. Today, I'm talking to Nicola Clarke, Creative Colour Director at John Frieda and celebrity colorist, to talk about how to get into the hair industry, why mentoring and good leadership is crucial, and also how to communicate with the younger generation about the success that you can find in hair, and that hairdressing is a career of rich opportunity. So hi Nicola, lovely to see you today. Thank you so much for chatting to me. So let's start with getting into the industry. So firstly, if someone wants to become a salon hairstylist or colorist or a session stylist, what would you say was the best way to get started? I know we talk a lot about becoming an apprentice.
So I think the best way that I think is to research the kind of hairdressers. You know, it's so easy with Instagram to be able to sort of see what kind of hair, what kind of vibe that you feel like you're, you know, leaning to.
Yeah.
Find what I suppose you think that your tribe might be. Yeah. And then I would go around to each one of those salons, write a little something about yourself, maybe a tiny little resume. Obviously, you're not going to have worked anywhere else, so it just shows a little bit of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main thing, is to know where you feel like you might want to go. Maybe get a little bit of advice from, maybe find out if there's anybody that you know that's in the kind of industry that they've heard anything. And then I would go to those places, because, you know, we get people come in and it's just about having enthusiasm, and that's what will get you a job in a salon. I mean, most salons are crying out for assistance.
Yeah.
So it'll be very rare that you won't get the opportunity to get the job. So I think the more enthusiasm that you show and timekeeping. You know, if you're going to say that you're going to turn up to meet somebody, be there that day at that time.
Yeah. So would you say then an apprenticeship is a really good route into hairdressing?
Well, it's the only route that I did for myself, and so many of my other friends did in the hair industry. But nowadays, probably there are more routes, but I would say it's a really, really amazing foundation. It's an amazing foundation to get you started in the hair industry, and also as well to meet people, and not just other hairdressers, but clients, and to meet the sort of general public and to learn how to deal with them, because you're going to need those skills even if you go into film work, or if you go into session hairdressing, or maybe just even if you just want a sort of Instagram career.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So what type of person do you think you need to be a hairdresser?
I mean, I think, you know, I think the thing is I think anyone can give it a go, as in anybody can, you know, go into that kind of like apprenticeship. But I think what you really need is, and you'll find out really quick as soon as you start hairdressing, is dedication, hard work, and patience.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then the creativity. I mean, obviously, if you're a creative person, you know, that's a no-brainer, because we're in a creative world. But you can learn to be creative. I mean, obviously, some people are going to shine more than others, but creativity, dedication, and hard work, it's a hard job.
Yes, yeah. So what's your favourite part of your job, Nick?
I mean, the reason why I got into hairdressing was it was a long time ago, so there wasn't that many options. But I knew that as a school leaver, I wanted to be a creative person. Yeah. And hairdressing was a foot in the door to get to so many other things: photography, makeup, all those things. And I just thought to myself, if I want to travel the world, which is what I wanted to do as a young person, I just thought, if I have a skill and I learn how to do hair, I'm not necessarily going to have to be able to I don't need to learn a different language necessarily, and I will always be able to make money wherever I go, whether it be traveling on a beach or, you know, jetting off to, you know, New York and working in the city, I knew that I would be able to earn money and have a skill. And the main thing for me when I was, I suppose, 15, was my goal was to be respected by my peers. And I knew who my peers were. I looked up to people like Sam McKnight, Eugene Solomon, Guido. And that was the main thing for me as a young person, that I was involved with those people. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that I wanted to be respected by those people because they were who I respected. So I got a job in a hair salon, local hair salon in Essex, and I knew that when I left school that I wanted to work in London. And that's not necessarily the case these days. You don't have to go into a city, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be respected by my peers. So that was the main thing for me, and be around a creative bunch of people.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. So if one of your apprentices wanted to get into that area, that line of work, into session styling and colouring, how would you mentor them into that?
I think the thing is what we do is we take someone on, and they're on obviously like a period of time where we know whether we fit with each other. And then they go into the training scheme, and they learn how, like, the basics. And then as they start to it's as simple as like learning how to shampoo.
Yes.
You know, dealing with a client, taking them from the front of the salon to the back wash, and dealing with them and putting them in your chair. So once they've mastered that, which you would think is a pretty easy thing to master, then, you know, we would start doing meeting with other, like, session hairdressers, and maybe suggesting that they would go on shoots with them. So it's kind of like a process. You learn how some people learn really quickly, like how to deal with clients, and that are really good with, like, clients. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best hairdresser or the best, you know, blow dryer or cutter. It might be the way that they are as a person and how they deal with people. So
would you say
it's all different ways. It's all different ways. It's until we trust that person and we know that they can go out of the salon and represent the salon how we present ourselves.
Do you ever take apprentices with you to assist you on shoots?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, not always, because sometimes, you know, like, you know, Lisa, like, sometimes there's situations where it's quite a tight, small little crew. But there's plenty of times, like, you know, I've taken people to Dubai with me, to New York. I mean, I can't even think of all the places that we've been to, but, you know, sometimes it's just down the road, you know. It depends. The thing I think with hairdressing is that it's, all those things aren't as glamorous as you think they are. So you have to have, like, guts and a bit of determination. So, you know.
And so it is a lot to do with your personality. So do you feel like you have to have confidence to get into the job?
No, because I don't think I was confident because I knew what I wanted to do. That's where my confidence were. I wasn't a confident person. I wasn't like, I mean, I suppose I was like maybe the one that might be at the front of the class or something like that, or maybe even if I stood behind, but I was making sure I was concentrating. But you have to have a certain level of confidence because you have to speak and present yourself with people. But that's what we teach you to do in the salon as an apprentice. You know, learn those things. You know, it's quite an intimate thing, shampooing someone's hair. So when you're 15 years old and you're for the first time touching stranger's hair, you know, so we teach you those things. You learn the confidence, but it's also great to have a little bit of confidence.
And would you recommend going into a salon instead of going from a course maybe in a college straight into freelance session styling? That's not really possible, is it, I guess?
Well, you know, there's, over the years I've met lots of different people, and, you know, some of like one of my best friends he went to art school and he trained as a sculptor, and he started assisting Sam McKnight, and he went in that way. Didn't even have any particularly hairdressing skills, but he was a talented, creative person, and he moved from sculpture in materials to sculpture in hair. So it's not, there is obviously, I think there's rules and regulations now where you have to have MVQ and all those kind of things and go through college. But, you know, I think it's like, it's one of those things, it's an amazing job. It's one of the most amazing jobs to be in, I think. But then I'm completely biased. But it's got me all over the world, and you know, meeting journalists and makeup artists and photographers and lawyers, and you know, like, it's just an amazing job.
Yeah, it's really broad, isn't it? But also, do you feel like in a salon you're such a tight team as well, and you know that each other's going to support each other, and I just love that especially about your salon, actually.
I mean, I think, you know, I'm a colorist, you know, that's my main job. So I feel like the color team tend to, like, we get into the corner and we, you know, like, question each other about formulas. And yeah, I think it's nice to be part of a team so that you can bounce things off. What I find is when someone's an individual, I think sometimes, not that it's a bad thing and it's a great thing and people love doing it, but I think you miss this kind of camaraderie that you get in the salon and sharing formulas and sharing ideas. Now that there's Instagram, there's more chance that you can share those formulas with one another. It's much easier. But there's just certain skills that I think you learn within the salon.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, do you recommend social media to your team? I mean, some people might not have the personality to sort of be an extrovert on social media, but do you recommend that they create their own brand? Or
I mean, I don't think I've necessarily got the personality for Instagram. So I'm not like some of my peers that go on and, you know, talk about what they're doing in their life and stuff. And that's great. And I love watching, you know, my friends like that do those things. I love it. But I think you gear your Instagram to you. And I think the thing is that I think nowadays is that we do look at people's Instagram and see what they're doing and whether they're putting their work on. And so I think it is nice to, whether you want to present yourself as a personality and add in your work, then that's great. And if you just want to present your work, that's also great. Or if you don't want to do that and you just want to present your inspiration, you know, that's also a great way to see how someone, their personality and their likes and dislikes. That's also,
because it is a good way of getting clients in, isn't it? Sort of.
Absolutely,
yeah. And so it's not just about mentoring in terms of the technical skills and getting into session styling, but it's also about sort of, I always feel like salons are very sort of caring to people's mental health as well. So, and I think that's quite a big part of being in a salon as well, where you're sort of looking after each other.
100%. I mean, I've been hairdressing for a long time, so I've had relationships with my clients, you know, for a long time. But I think people tell you things that they wouldn't necessarily tell their friends or maybe their family. It's one of those things where, you know, you, like I say, you are intimate with someone, you're touching them, you're touching you know, it's like you're touching them, it's like it's such an intimate thing. So you do end up talking about things that maybe necessarily you couldn't talk to, you know, siblings or friends, you know, and bounce those things off of your hairdresser before it goes further, you know, see what their reaction is.
Yeah. And just one final thing then, Nick, is so if there's apprentices want to be apprentices watching this now, what would you say to them? Would you say just to walk into the salon then if they
I mean, people get in contact with me on Instagram, they email they walk into the salon, you know. I think it's pretty easy to get hold of people, and most people are watching hair and beauty, you know. What I would suggest is don't think that you're not wanted. It doesn't matter
yeah.
how big a salon and how intimidating you think that it will be.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Honestly, you know, I find that some people think that it might be a bit intimidating to approach someone or even to email someone. Do it. All I say is do it. If you don't do it, then you don't get, as what my nan would say.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Oh, thank you, Nick. No, thank you so much. It's been really inspiring talking to you, as always.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Nicola.
Hello, I'm Andrea Thompson, Editor-in-Chief at Marie Claire. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here with Leah Hill. She's a hairstylist, salon founder and technical educator for Aveda. She advises hair professionals on all hair types, but specialises in textured hair. Hello.
Hi.
I really wanted to use this opportunity to expand on some of the things that we've talked about before, because I met Leah a couple of years ago and she's so passionate about the subject of textured hair and educating people about how to style and treat it. Leah, tell me a little bit about your first experiences in mainstream salons and what kind of inspired your journey in terms of your career.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I've always been really passionate because I sort of started off in a salon as an apprentice, and I was really passionate about being able to do all hair types. With having textured hair myself, I found that guests would, walk by the window in the salon and see me and just assume like I may be able to do their hair. And I realised that, that was something that I definitely wanted to make sure that once I was qualified, I was able to do everybody's hair. It was a little bit difficult with the sort of education and training. I did go out of the city that I'm from. I went to a different city to train in textured hair following my education as an apprentice. So within the salons, being a guest myself, I found that it was more difficult to find stylists able to style my hair. My mum always did her best in trying to find salons and find the right products, but it was always that little bit more difficult, I'd say.
I mean, what do you think are the main barriers to salons being more inclusive of all types today? There's been a lot of noise on social media about what needs to be done. What do you feel are the main barriers to that progress being made?
Yeah, I think the main barriers is the fact that it's not been something that all hairdressers have been taught about from the very beginning of their career. So when they were training at the very beginning, textured hair hasn't always been included, not as an optional unit. It's not always been included from the very beginning. So I feel that's why, moving on from like having my own salon and moving into education, I've been really passionate about that side of things and really helping stylists and being that educator and that person that I wish that I'd had moving forward throughout, you know, my career, that can really help me to understand textured hair and really be able to work with it as best we can, really. So I think the main barrier is the fact that it's harder to unlearn things than it is to learn things from the beginning, which is what I'm doing with Aveda, traveling across the UK and Ireland and really trying to help and educate stylists to become more confident.
Yeah. And you actually did a pop-up at Selfridges, didn't you? What kind of experiences did you have there? What sort of things were people saying to you when they came in and, you know, off the street for a treatment and saw you there? You know, what things were people saying?
Yeah, so as well as obviously educating professionals, I also started, you know, educating obviously my guests as well. But within Selfridges, I was actually there doing a pop-up, was styling like influencers' hair, styling guests that wanted treatments done. And I think the main thing for me was seeing people's reactions to just me being there. You know, just people with textured hair would walk past and sort of see themselves maybe in me or the guests that I was doing, and it's not something that they'd said they'd seen before, or they would expect, you know, to walk into Selfridges and be able to get their hair done with having textured hair. It's not something that there's a huge representation of, you know, across everywhere. So especially in somewhere that's as prestigious and well known and established as Selfridges, it was quite it was quite surprising, really. And people definitely were really engaging. They wanted to, you know what I was doing, know what products I was using, and it was amazing to be, you know, somewhere like that and be able to service guests there.
And what was the feedback from the stylists you were working alongside and educating?
In Selfridges or just as a whole?
Selfridges, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the feedback is, again, they want because we have with Aveda, we have blow dry bars across the UK, and we put programs in place to train all of our stylists on our blow dry bars, and I work very closely with them. So their main feedback is they really want to be able to service every single guest that walks you know, past or wants to be able to get their hair done. They're really passionate about making that change and making it something that's the norm to see.
I want to talk a bit about legislation now, because in 2021, the National Occupational Standards for Hairdressing updated their legislation, asking that all hairdressers have to learn about Afro hair as much as they learn, you know, around any other hair type. Before that decision, hairdressers could qualify without ever having styled or treated Afro hair. Do you think that's changed the industry at all?
I think there's definitely been more awareness, especially from the media, social media, and with that legislation being put in place, there's definitely more of an awareness and more ownership onto stylists to think, well, actually, I haven't actually trained and maybe I should. Maybe when it was a little bit more optional, it was more of like the norm thing to do, to not learn. Whereas now it's being made you know, more clear and more visible that all hairdressers should be able to learn all hair textures. There's so many guests that have a similar story of not being able to find a salon or being refused from being able to get a treatment done. You know, they're having to travel out of town. I personally had people coming from all over into my salon because they can't literally find a salon within their area, and it shouldn't be that way. I think we should all be coming together, bridging that gap, bridging that divide, and be able to have the choice, because I'm all about choice and having the option. You should be able to choose your salon, choose your stylist, not have it depend on whether you've got one hair type or you've got another.
One of the things that you've done as well is style models during Fashion Week, which must be a huge challenge in terms of the timings and the pressure. But it is an area that, you know, models of different races and with different hair have always sort of talked about is a real challenge in terms of inclusivity. They turn up to shows and there's no one, you know, there backstage to do their hair. There's nobody that knows about how to treat it. What kind of experiences did you hear from models that you worked with, and what was their experience of seeing you and working with you, do you think?
Yeah, so it's definitely something that I always hear a lot, whether it be models on shoots, whether it be fashion week, whether it be influencers, celebrities that I've worked with, that the main thing is that they haven't necessarily come across people that can work with their hair type on, like you say, for example, fashion week or on a shoot. So the particular model that I remember from last year that I worked with, she had like really, big textured hair. It was like really long, and she needed it blown out, pressed, styled in 10 minutes. And I remember like the lead stylist coming over, like, are you going to be okay? Like, it's only 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. I was like, I've set myself the challenge, but safely. And, she was like, it's the best my hair has actually been styled. And I can't believe you've done it in 10 minutes. But it's because of my knowledge and experience and expertise that I was able to work under that amount of pressure, but also have the model feel really comfortable knowing that I had experience, and she was able to get the same treatment just like everyone else and feel just as comfortable.
That's great. I mean, I'm still absolutely shocked you could blow dry hair in 10 minutes.
Set me the challenge.
Finally, I want to talk about, the other kind of issues involved, because training is only part of the problem, isn't it? Do you think we need more inclusive workforces in mainstream salons on the whole? Is there
definitely. I think it's quite hard to speak about maybe a topic like this when you maybe not have experienced these things, if you've maybe not had that experience where you've been, refused an appointment, or where you've not felt included or been made to not feel included. So I think that, and having that representation is definitely key, and we need more of that, because that's where the passion will come from. That's where the driving force comes from. And I know personally with Aveda, that's what we're really trying to do. And I'm trying to lead with creating more opportunities for, stylists that are able to work with textured hair. We've just taken on 2 new of my colleagues that are going to be working alongside me to build a real sort of texture squad, I would like to say. But just really moving forward and creating more opportunities, because that's where we'll see the real change.
Yeah. And social media really does have a big part to play, doesn't it, in galvanizing people and, raising a lot of these issues so that we're actually discussing them. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think with social media, everything's at that sort of click of a finger now, and people get that access, and people can really if people want to raise awareness, it's a lot easier to do by social media now. So I think things can happen that little bit quicker. So I think all being supportive of each other on social media, and really sort of even having these sometimes uncomfortable conversations online on social media, it does it's a quicker, more faster way of really bringing awareness to a subject that you are passionate about. And I think anyone that has a platform, or like myself, that would like to spread more awareness on social media, I think it can be used in a really great way.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to ask you, what is your key hack for textured hair? What one tip do you really swear by?
So my biggest tip, and this is something that I swear by and my guests have seen huge improvements from, is looking after your scalp. So being able to properly cleanse, being able to properly condition, use the right products to suit your scalp. I always say a healthy hair comes from a healthy scalp. And a lot of the what I hear a lot of with textured hair guests is that, my hair doesn't grow, or it's not growing as quick as maybe straight hair, but it definitely does grow. It just needs the appropriate scalp care. So in Aveda, my favorite is our new scalp solutions, which we have like a shampoo, a treatment, and serums for your scalp that are suited specifically. Because I think a lot of people use products that are not suited to their scalp on the scalp, and you definitely need a good scalp routine.
Thank you so much, Leah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. As the conversation around sustainability and mental health is playing more and more of a part in beauty over the past couple of years, I am here today with hairstylist and founder of ARKIVE, Adam Reed, to discuss all things mental health and sustainability in hair care. Thanks so much for joining us, Adam.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Honestly, it's a pleasure.
Okay, so today I want to talk, as I've already said, a bit about mental health and sustainability, because you obviously launched your brand in the past year, and it's a real champion for those things that take the basics of hair care make it a much broader topic. So let's just start by talking about what the hair industry and hair care means to you beyond just being a job.
So one thing that's really interesting is first and foremost, I'm a hairdresser, and I love being a hairdresser. I have always worked in the salon. I've always had a seat in a salon, so I've always kept my feet on the ground, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. And of course, I do all of the other creative stuff. I am a brand ambassador. I've been a session stylist. I've done shows. I do the TV. When I moved to London sort of 30 years ago, I wanted to be that hairdresser that did a bit of everything. And that's what I wanted to do. Now, I have always been very open about my own struggles with I call it mental fitness. I'm trying to find a really good way of making it a positive thing. And I used to call it my ill mental health, but actually what I struggled with was how to manage my mental fitness. And, I've always been open about that. But as social media started to hit and as media changed, I started to see how it was affecting more and more people. Interestingly, my husband and I adopted our son nearly 6 years ago, and there were elements of when I grew up and my grandmother and my mum and my sisters of things that we used to do with each other, our weekly hair wash, head massages, brushing hair, all of these little things. And of course, everybody who knows me knows I love a fragrance. And I started to realize when we adopted Riley, these things really connected to a bonding experience. Then over the last couple of years, we've seen these changes. And interestingly, I don't like to talk about it, but 3 years ago, the world changed. And in those first couple of months, everybody was concerned about people doing their hair at home, using colours on their hair at home, cutting their hair. And then as we went back to salons and then went back home, in the second time we were made to stay at home, what people were talking about and how I saw the conversation change, we as hairdressers and as pros were saying, actually, do you know what? If it's making you feel better, you do it. You do what you need to do. We'll help you after that. But if it's making you feel better, you do it. And actually what I started to realize, I do love being a creative. I do love the opportunities that I get to be a creative hairdresser. But what I realized myself, and that my clients and customers and, the hairdressing community as a whole, what we were missing was the conversation, the ability to talk, the safe space of a salon chair. And I was very open about the fact that in those times that we were made to stay at home, I had an episode called dissociative amnesia. I lost my mind, and I woke up in hospital, and it was a little bit of a wake-up call. But do you know what was amazing was when I got back home, my son reminded me of those things. He ran me a bath. He wanted to wash my hair. He kept bringing me bottles of aftershave in to wear, and I was like, oh my gosh, this little boy who came to us, this change in the planet, what we're seeing here is the importance of a salon safe space. And I coined it head care at the time because my thinking was, I look after what's on here. But actually, what I started to realize was, unofficially, I help to look after what goes on in here.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, do you know what? There are lots of people changing the way we see a hair and a beauty experience. But I knew that gave me a purpose. I'm a product junkie. I love product. I'll never not love product. I love skincare. I love home care. I love perfume. I love toothpaste. I literally love product. So I was like, do you know what? This is going to give me an opportunity to change what we do in the salon. And I opened 4 weeks before the world shut down. And we realized that we were asking and giving nurses and doctors the opportunity to come and get their hair washed at the end of their shift. And we saw this incredible conversation starting to open up. And sometimes, actually, of course, we always want to look pretty and we want to follow trends, but sometimes just washing your hair is all you need to do. There's something so incredibly therapeutic about cleaning, about washing everything away, a head massage, a head brush. I always say, if all you can do is wash your hair, brush your teeth, there's something so incredibly amazing about brushing your teeth and your mouth feeling clean. I don't put lipstick on, but I do paint my nails. So I always say a swipe of lipstick or a bit of nail polish and then a waft of fragrance. Actually, that can be head care. And I think that, we've always done this. We always have these amazing conversations, but giving our clients and our customers the ability to save space, their chair, to feel comfortable. We have a station in the salon where there are no mirrors. So if you're sat, you can just sit, you can do your work, you can have your color put on, and you don't have to sit looking in front of a mirror. We have a perfume wall. We encourage people to switch off their tech. We have silent appointments where you don't need to talk. Then we have open conversation appointments where actually we'll listen, and we're really building this much bigger head care community. But I really believe in the little things making a massive, massive difference. And I think that's where that really nice crossover hits.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also, I think this is why hair care is so important to people as individuals, as, customers, is because it has this like synesthetic thing to it. It's like you say, it's the sense, it's the texture, just the action of doing something that just makes someone feel so much better. And it doesn't, I think over the past few years, we've been taking this really prescriptive, science-led element to beauty, which I think is really important too. But
absolutely agree.
Sometimes it can really suck the joy out of things, particularly if people are left to feel alienated by it, if they don't understand it, because you shouldn't have to understand it really.
Oh, so true. And again, my whole thing is based around prevention. So I am very much like, you don't need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products. I've created a range called ARKIVE. ARKIVE is Adam Riley Kenny. So that's my husband, my son, and myself is the ARK. And then the ARKIVE is sort of what goes on and what's gone on in this head. But I've created that. So actually, there'll never be hundreds of products, but the performance, the formulations are amazing. So if you like something a little more tech, you can bring this into your hair care wardrobe. And I think that's happening across the board in beauty. There are incredible products on the high street. There are incredible products if you want to invest a little more. There are amazing holistic products. All of these things, again, you talked about synergy earlier. All of these things create this amazing synergy that just helps you on a day-to-day basis. Take away the tech of it all. Look at the basic, the rituals of what you're doing, and just take that time to enjoy them and to shut down, light a lovely candle, put your favorite music on, and use that time to care for your head.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it would be remiss not to talk about sustainability, particularly when it comes to ARKIVE. When it comes to sustainability in hair, it's a massive, massive topic beyond just, in comparison to skincare, where brands are really focusing on things like packaging and, ingredient growing and everything else that comes along with it, whereas hair is a much bigger picture because you have the service element to it as well. What did you find when you did launch when you launched ARKIVE and head care as a whole? What did you take away from that in terms of sustainability, and where do you think the industry could be doing differently?
Well, do you know, Shannon, it's a really interesting thing, because I think the big myth here is that it's really difficult to be sustainable and it's really complicated. So I am really lucky. I have a role at L'Oréal Professionnel and I have a role within the Green Salon Collective, both amazing pioneers in advancement in our industry. But a Green Salon Collective is incredible for what we can do on a day-to-day in the salon. So we have everything taken away that can be taken away. Hair. So the hair is taken, it can be used to compost. They'll give you tips on what hair can be used for. It's made into booms that help to soak up oil and oil spills. And again, these tiny, tiny pieces of knowledge make a much bigger picture. We have our color removed. So all of our excess color is put into a container and that's taken away. So it's not polluting our waters. You know, the tiniest little things, coffee grains, where your products come from, where they are going after. Then with the L'Oréal Professionnel, I worked with the Net Zero Salon project. And honestly, that was a game changer. Everybody can do this. Every salon owner can look into this. And they come in and they assess the sustainability impact on your salon. And honestly, that was a game changer. How much water you use, what heat your heaters are set to, what coffee you use, what milk you use. The fact that using a milk alternative can make a huge change. Again, with ARKIVE, what I wanted to do was look at, you know, it's a universal product. So actually, I've designed it for every head in mind. So anybody in your family can use it. It's not designed for gender, hair type, your age. It's designed for your head and your hair. So again, this allows that you don't have to consume so much. We put it into pump bottles for easy use. Even our minis are in pumps, so you can reuse them. And we've used post-consumer recycled plastic where we can. We're also B Corp, which really allows us to know what's going on. And do you know what, Shannon? I think going back to my point at the beginning, information is key. And actually, head care, sustainability, looking after your team as much as your client. You know, my team are the most important thing to me. If my team are happy, my clients are happy. And it's those little things making a big difference. And I keep saying that. But that's key to all of this. I think we're so bombarded by information that you don't know what to take in and when to take it in and how to keep it in your head. That actually keep it nice and simple, streamline everything. You know, the Net Zero Salon project, Green Salon Collective, our ARKIVE. I look at other product ranges. Flamingo Estate, I was looking at an incredible American range that I'm literally trying to bring into the salon as a part of my curate. But, you know, there's then amazing hair care ranges like Scented and these incredible brands, aromatherapy associates, you know, learn how to do that. Annie de Malmiau skincare. It's one of those products that I just love the smell of. Fragrance. So if I'm feeling a little low, Calvin Klein obsession wafted all over me. If I'm feeling a little bit more sort of lively, Portrait of a Lady. Has to be Portrait of a Lady for me. I really overdose on that, and then I get compliments all day long. People love it, and again, that's all head care, and it's all the little things that we can do to make that bigger difference. And as I said, a good brush of the teeth really helps to lift your spirits. Those tiny little things. My grandmother used to say to me, brushing your hair 100 strokes a day is really nice. And she used to do it for me. Now, that could be an old wives' tale, but you have thousands and thousands of receptors on your head that really help you relax. So brushing your hair, a double brush, use a Mason Pearson or a Manta brush or a Tangle teaser. Get that through your hair, and they are absolutely brilliant as a part of a head care regime.
Definitely. Honestly,
I'm whacking them all in there. Bunch of flowers, nice smell.
I could talk to you. We could do a whole TED talk on this, honestly.
We really could, because it is the simplicity of it. I honestly was nervous about it at the beginning, but it's really, really easy to take those tiny little things and make a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do within the beauty industry so well. And also, do you know what? The community, the beauty community, is so strong at the moment. You know, I ring up Josh Wood, or I'll ring up Sally Brooks, and I ring up other hairdressers and my sort of beauty community, and I ask what they're doing and what they're up to. And it's amazing how we can then share that and make social media a really positive place and a really exciting place to visit. Something that we shouldn't be worried about. We shouldn't feel like it's anxiety inducing. Actually, it gives us that little bit of a smile and that real kick up the backside to get on.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. We could talk for hours, but we don't have hours.
We don't have hours. And as you know, I could talk for hours. But the pleasure is all mine. And congratulations to all of the winners at today's awards.
Honestly, thank you so much for joining us, Adam. And I hope
Pleasure.
you guys enjoy the rest of the awards. Thanks so much for tuning in.